Hi there, it's Natasha from Rick Rack and Ribbons, and I wanted to talk today a little bit about journaling and what it looks like to journal in a junk journal, and how junk journaling has actually helped me tremendously in my life of late. So a little background on my junk journal adventures. I first was introduced to this whole concept of doing things to a journal back in 2005. And this was the journal that I created. And it's just in a sketchbook, an artist sketchbook. And I learned this process. I was inspired by a blogger called Sweetwater Sisters. And I don't know what happened to them. They're no longer around, but they had a blog and a store. And in fact, some of my favorite stamps to date are from their, I purchased from them. And watching her really kind of taught me this whole process of what it looks like to be creative in a journal. And so this was the first journal that I created way back in 2005. And I've journaled for a long time, actually since I was young, on and off, not avidly. I journal when, a lot of times, a lot of my journaling is when I was, really having a hard time, and I would journal. And that's where a lot of my journaling would, kick into high gear, and I'd write for days and try to figure out what was going on in my life. And one of the coolest things about journaling is that you really get the opportunity to see patterns in your life. Because if you reread and go back and read again, I've gone back and read a journal and a couple years later and thought, oh my gosh, I'm doing those same things. I get very cycled in my thinking. I replay the same narratives over and over again, and I can see that when I journal, and I can kind of start to help break those cycles, because I can see how it's happening. And that is one of the things I love about journaling, is just that ability to stop those narratives that just won't get out of your head. So this is the original journal that I had created. And as you can see, there's, embellishments and things on the page, different things that, a lot of inks, and a lot of stamping and different papers. And that's basically what I used then. And now, and I just started this again. I stopped doing this for a long time, a very long time. And I didn't stop journaling per se, but I stopped decorating and being creative in my journals. But recently I have started again, and I kind of wanted to share with you. Look at that. That's kind of cool. It's a little wire. I must have twisted wire into a heart shape. I wanted to share with you, what has happened and what junk journaling in the last few months has done for me specifically. Because it's been remarkable for me on a personal level, and this is just on a personal level. This is my life. So what had happened was, 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I really like this too over here. I've been dealing with that for the last 5 years, and this last year has been particularly challenging. I'm a teacher. I was a teacher, and I went on to disability last fall. And sometime last fall, my back started to hurt, and chronically. And so they couldn't figure out what's going on with it. Doctors don't know. Not sure what the deal is, but it hurts, and it hurts so much that I can't sleep in a bed. It's funny drawings. This is my husband, I'm pretty sure, and then. There's some of my forays into art, and this would be me. This is about the height of my ability to draw. Looks like I wrote some poetry here too. Anyway, they don't, it could have been a second grader, or maybe it was an adult. They don't know what's wrong. Like I said, I can't lay flat, and I can't stand up straight for very long. Walking is challenging. I have to use a cart at the store to get through, so I can lean on it, and it's very painful. And I deal with it every day, and it's okay. It's what I'm dealing with, and it's okay. Honestly, I'm happy to open my eyes every day. That is my mantra. I am grateful that every day I can open my eyes and see the world, and I'm still here. You know, it's the funny thing with cancer. We all know we're going to die. We know that it's part of life. It's part of our humanity. With cancer, it's like driving down a road, and somewhere on that road that you are on right now is your death, and somebody knows what it is, and it just, you don't, but you know it's coming. And it could be sooner than later. And for the most part, you know, it most likely, it might be sooner. So it's just it's a weird feeling, honestly, that feeling. But anyway, back to my point here. Oh, look, I did more, this is with watercolor pencils, practicing drawing. I wanted to, I love to draw. And that's one of the great things about a junk journal is you can write, you can draw, you can, you know, express yourself in whatever way suits you, depending on what brings you joy. And that is my focus these days, is what brings me joy. And that's what junk journaling has done for me. It has brought me joy. So what had happened is I had, you know, have this back issue. My niece called me sometime in the end of January and said she knew of a gal who does cranial sacral therapy. I probably just murdered that name. And she'd like me to be able to go, and she'll come get me. And because I am on a lot of medications, and I'm probably breathy, as if you're listening to me talk, I'm a little nervous too. So, because I'm putting things out there I don't normally talk about. I like to shove things down deep and not talk about things. It's kind of my go-to. But I'm trying to be better about talking and about expressing myself, and, you know, telling people where I'm at and what I'm feeling and what I'm going through, because what has happened is that all of that suppression of feelings and emotions has not been very good for me mentally. So this last winter, I was in a super dark place, and I didn't even realize it until I came out of it. So I started seeing this therapist, and she does she works with the central nervous system, but she does a lot of talk therapy. And in talking to her, and in a lot of tears and a lot of sessions, and a lot more tears, and then some more tears and a lot of talking, I started to come out of my cave. And she really encouraged me to get back into journaling. And I had been journaling a little bit this past winter. And this is my journal. And this used to be a beautiful, gorgeous journal that my daughter bought me. But as you can see, it's well loved now and well used. But I was journaling here, and these are what the pages looked like. You know, they were just the blank page. Now, I've always been I've always loved pens and office supplies. So I always use color. You know, I always need color in my life. But the pages are plain. You know, they're just, I wasn't doing, I came back and I think I did that. I was just journaling. And that's okay too. That's great. You know, however you want to do it is awesome, because it's really an individual preference. But you can see that through this therapy and over time, my things started to change. And I started to do some affirmations. And I'm telling you, you know, you get to a point in your life where you're open to anything. And it may sound silly, affirmations, it may be a little Stuart Smalley, but I kind of like them, and it works for me. And I'm going to continue to do what feels good, because that's where I'm at in my life. I need to do things that bring me joy, that make me feel good, because I had been sitting in a chair for months and doing very little, but playing, you know, silly games on my phone, and that just wasn't helping me heal. This has started to help me heal, help me feel better, help me, and you can see the progression. February 13th, I mean, color in my life, anyone? Holy cow, look at the difference between these journaling pages and what I showed you prior. And you can just see how I'm, you know, trying to open up and really feeling my creative side come out along with my writing side. I do like to write. You know, this is from my daughter, and in junk journal style, I put the envelope, you know, this is the stamps from the cards I received in here, and was able to write about my days. And it just has brought out such a passion in me that feels good, gratitude. And that is what I was missing. I was missing passion. I was missing feeling feeling really good mentally, and having something to look to. Since I started this journal, and this is, you know, when I make a journal, I make it specifically to journal in. I don't make it in the stuff it full sense, although they're getting more stuffy as I go. I find myself wanting to put more and more in them all the time, which kind of cracks me up a little bit, you know, but I do create them for journaling, and I want all the pages to be able to be written on, and that's, you know, that's a big part of it. So I try to look for papers that are light and that can be written on. And sometimes that, you know, I've thought about doing chalk paint and maybe including a black pen or a white pen with my journals, but I do try to include a lot of journaling cards if I don't have pages, because I do have some pages that are that I wouldn't journal on. And let's just see if I can find that. There's a couple in this one per se. So this one, I just love this page, and I don't want to write on her. She's just too beautiful. I found her in a magazine, and I just can't write on her. But there's another one too. This guy, this is vintage wrapping paper, and I just thought it was so beautiful that I just left it. So, I mean, you could write on it. The only thing is, you know, sometimes you might need a black pen when you're in a journal like this. You might need to change your pen, and there's so many pens out there, which is more of the fun of journaling, is the type of implements, you know, you can use. Fountain pens. I use fountain pens often in my journals, and sometimes I find myself channeling my inner 1800s petticoat girl with the fountain pen, and there'll be a lot of these and thous in those particular entries because I was writing with a fountain pen, which cracks me up. But I think it's just fun. It all adds to it. I had my other favorite pens around here too somewhere. I was going to show you. Oh yeah, here they are. These are actually my favorite pens to write with right now. They take really well to all of the papers, the different papers that I'm using in a junk journal. Now this one is, you know, it came with paper, so it was already pre-papered, and I just put stuff on top of it. So it's a little different, but since this one, I recently just finished creating my first one for myself, which is this one here. And, you know, this one has a variety of papers, and these take to all of the papers beautifully. Now, granted, sometimes you might need to use a black pen in these. I think I said that, but these are just really a great pen. But there's so many out there, different pens that you can use to journal with, which is also part of the fun of journaling. And journaling in a junk journal, because one of the things I've discovered through junk journaling is that I'm a very tactile person. I love how things feel, and I love how they sound. I love the sound of the coffee papers. I love the sound of my pen against the paper. I love the sound of, and this is another thing I like to do sometimes in these journals. This is one I'm making for my niece. Is I like to paint over the book page. I love the sound of my pen on this painted page. And I know it sounds bizarre, but I really like how that sounds. And what's fun about the paint is it gives it a little more tooth. You know, some pages have more tooth than others. And, you know, vellum may smear, so you want to be careful there. You want to use something more permanent. But through, you know, these journal creation, I do want them to be written in. And one of the things that... one of my favorite, I've done a lot of research on journaling, read a lot of journaling books and writing books, because I do like to write. And in my day job when I was working, I was a teacher. And I would tell my students, you know, when we do like a 10-minute writing time, just write. It doesn't matter what you write, just write something. And if you have to write the same thing over and over again, go ahead, because it might bring out, you know, something more. Write about your morning. What did you have for breakfast? You know, some of my journal entries are super mundane. They're just about the day. And then other ones are an outpouring of the heart, or a thank you letter, or a gratitude letter, or a list of things, or words I like, or books I've read, or I'll tell a story. I'll try to take something out of my day that's really boring and put it into a narrative and try to add excitement to it, which is kind of a fun game I play. But this book here, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, I bought this 21 years ago. And this is an awesome book about, it's really about bringing out your creativity. and through journaling. And one of the things she really recommends is morning pages, 3 pages of whatever writing you want, free writing, write the same thing over and over again, just write 3 pages every day. And some days I can do that, some days I can't, but it really gave me that permission to just write and to not have to have prose and poetry or something, you know, really in depth in my writing. I can just write about whatever. And if somebody reads it, they read it. You know, this was my day, this was my life. And I'm okay with that now at this point, because I want to share that with my family someday. And I expect them to read these journals. I really do. I hope they don't think I was the most boring person on earth, but hopefully they won't. But if you get blocked creatively, this is a great tool to help unlock that. And she's just got a lot of words of wisdom. There's a lot of great quotes in here, and it's kind of a program. I've done it a few times. Sometimes I start and stop it. Sometimes I just read from this book, and I'll find something that speaks to me. And it is one of my favorites. My daughter has done it, and my niece has done it as well. So it's a great book. It's by Julia Cameron, called The Artist's Way, and she also has workbooks and things. So there is more to this. But I do highly recommend that if you're interested in learning or in journaling, as an activity that you want to do more often to help explore where you're at in your life. And that's, one of the things for me is I get stuck on things a lot. And in the things that I'm dealing with, it's really easy to throw a pity party. And I like pity parties. They're really fun. I'm really good at throwing them. I invite all my friends, which is myself and my dogs, and we have a pity party. But it's not a good place to stay in, and I don't want to stay there. I want joy in my life. And that's what creating junk journals has done for me. I have a reason to get up in the morning. I can't wait to get up in the morning. Not that I create constantly. I don't. Sometimes I just sit here and stare at my supplies. I don't know if that's my meds or what, but other days I can, create all kinds of things. And I found so much inspiration from everybody. I mean, I think we're all inspired by each other. Still trying to find my niche, trying to find my style. I know it's random and eclectic. I can see that through this particular journal that I'm creating for my niece, that my style is very random and eclectic. I still make mistakes. These are not even. There is some problems down here. They're not even. Still working on that. But I am no longer just sitting in a chair, and it's been a couple months. So I created 2 journals complete from scratch, and those I've given away. And then I created my own, so that's my 3rd. So this is my 4th from scratch journal. And I have a couple more that people have requested for me to make, and I'm going to continue to create these things. And it's so much fun for me, and I'm hoping to connect with people eventually through this process. And I'm going to continue to try to make videos, and hope maybe through that connect with people. And so if you journal, if you don't journal, if you're a survivor, a survivor, if you want to connect with me, leave me a comment. What do you do with your journals? Are you a junk journaler who stuffs them full and don't journal? Or are you a writer and you create these beautiful pieces so that you can both express your creativity and express yourself in words in them, which is just a beautiful thing, I think. Let me know in the comments. And I promise I won't talk about my health issues, very often, but it is going to come up because it's such a huge part of my life, and it affects me so much, and it affects a lot of people. So thank you for listening to me. I hope this helped you. I hope this inspires you to write in a journal, or just maybe start thinking about, maybe journaling, looking at journaling in a different way, just sitting down and writing down some words and seeing where it takes you. Because I know for me, both the process of creating a beautiful thing to write in, something that looks lovely and brings color into my brain, and also I can utilize it, has just brought me so much joy and peace. And my days now are filled with, to a creative outlook that keeps my mind off of all of the other stuff. So have an awesome day. Thanks for listening. Please give a thumbs up if you liked this at all, and subscribe if you want. Thanks so much. Bye.